Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. It says, "And Elohim said, See, I have given you every plant that yields seed which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it is for food." When I look at that, I think of not just a seed, because anybody can plant a seed. Hashatan can plant a seed. But Elohim is saying any plant that is of my seed, the seed that I plant, because he's the farmer planting the seed, it is of good fruit. So then in chapter 2, verse 9, it says, "And out of the ground Yahweh Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, with the tree of high in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." So again, he says every tree that he plants, and that is pleasant to the sight. So keep that word in mind, sight. Now go to chapter 3, verse 6. "And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave her husband with her," which it's not with her, he wasn't with her, but she did give her husband, Adam, the fruit as well to eat. And he ate. He ate the fruit after his wife gave him the fruit. Now notice in this verse, again, this is 3:6, instead of using the word sight, the word eyes is used. And I looked up the King James Version and the Amplified Version, and they all say either eyes or she looked upon, those type of, not, I guess, abstract terms, but also those are just physical terms that deal with the flesh when it has to deal with Hawa or Eve looking at the tree of good and evil, or of knowledge of good and evil. She's looking at it with the flesh because that's how Hashatan works. But the Father, Abba, Elohim, he works with our spiritual, the faculties that he gives us to see the vision that he wants us to see, which is his good seed for those that he chooses. So let's go back. In chapter 10, verse 9, again, the word that is used there is sight, not eyes, not looked upon, is sight. It says, every tree grown that is pleasant to the sight. Sight, I had looked up the Merriam-Webster's dictionary version because I was just interested, and I also looked up the Hebrew meaning, but that was kind of abstract too. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit more deeper, maybe look up an audio study on the word sight. But Merriam's Webster's dictionary, it said the word sight. It had to do, actually, give me just a second. I think I printed it out. I did. So the word sight, again, this is Merriam-Webster's dictionary. A thing regarded as worth seeing. Isn't that awesome? Something to the appearance, to look a sight, to look upon, a spectacle. The process, power, or function of seeing. See, Yahweh Elohim, he gives us the function to see, to have the vision to see the seed that he planted and what he's going to grow in us. Everyone has eyes. We all have eyes. But it takes Yahweh's, it takes the function of his seed growing in us. And when we steer away from that, we're no longer using our spiritual sight from Elohim. We are susceptible to just using our eyes, just the physical. So I just thought that was really important. Now, I also thought that reading this and going over the study, the fact that one verse says sight and the other says eyes or look upon, depending on what version of the word that you're reading from. I thought that was so interesting how the Father's word used two different things. When it comes to him, it's sight, but when it comes to, that's Adam, but when it comes to the woman, it's eyes. And that made me think of the women, particularly the women that are married, that have headship, that where their husband, who's their headship, and Yeshua, and then Yahweh is their headship. How when they bypass that order of things, they are more susceptible to using their flesh, their eyes, and not their sight, because now their vision is impaired, because they're choosing. They have made that choice because their husband is not there. Their headship is not there with them. They bypassed him, or they're listening to friends, or, they're choosing not to listen to their headship, or the instruction, or the seed that Yahweh is growing in their headship, the proper Kodesh order of things. And so now they don't have that vision. They don't have that vision. And so what is Elohim letting us know here? That, from the beginning, there's always been an order of things. It's always been an order of things. This role reversal, or women wanting to be just like man, wanting to be no, that's not Kodesh. And that's not what the Father wants. And he wants us to have the blessings that we, that we pray for, that we pitch our tent with him for, that we eagerly expect him to give us. But you have to be a good servant. You have to be a good servant, which means you follow the instructions, his loving instructions, and not go off on your own, thinking that you won't be infiltrated by the enemy, that Hashatan won't, that you're never strong enough. You're never strong enough to fight him without Elohim. You're never strong enough to say no without Elohim. Never. And that's with anything, because he deals with our flesh, because he knows we as women, we love shiny things. We love pretty things. We love this. We love that. But Yahweh gives your headship the vision that maybe you can't see. So I hope that was a blessing and a better ha to you all. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.